So we kind of hinted at it a little bit here already. And I know you and I have talked over the years. We've had arguments. There's been posts. There's been videos. There's been things said. I think there's a period in a time that we got into a fist fight once, and then we didn't talk for 3 years because you think
geez.
for some reason that Android devices are better than iPhone, Apple,
Oh,
and iOS.
oh
And
yes.
so,
Oh, this.
so I guess now I figured now would be just the best time to do so because, here we are, and I just feel like it's a good time for you to plead your case. And so
Okay.
I think
Okay.
we'll treat this exactly like, the courtroom setting. James, I'll give you just a minute or two, however long you need, I guess, to let us hear your opening arguments, your elevator pitch, your main reasoning. Not we don't need a lot of evidence or meaning, but just yet, but maybe just why you think that this open source, sometimes secure, sometimes not, maybe nowadays more, I don't know. Android platform's better, green bubbles, yuck, is better than YouTube or iOS and Apple.
All right. So let's get into the meat and potatoes here. I only got to talk about three things. Okay. First
Three
off,
things, go.
number one, for Android, whenever you get a new device, you upgrade, you do different things. Are you getting a new device? Oh yeah, you're getting a brand new device. You're getting all these different changes. You're getting all this new technology, all this new stuff. You're spending what, thousands of dollars at this point. Brand new phone. Let me ask you this:
Mm-hmm.
from the iPhone 14
Mm-hmm.
to now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Well, we'll even back it up one. From the iPhone 12 to now,
Okay.
what's changed?
Okay.
What's changed?
Sure.
What are you getting different?
Uh-huh.
You're getting the same pack. You're getting the same thing in the same package with a
Uh-huh.
new shell
Right.
every time.
Every
Nothing
time.
different.
Right. Okay.
All right. That's
Okay.
that's 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 big point number one.
Okay.
Number two.
It's the same design every year, whereas you're claiming the Android phone market gets different designs every year. So I guess let me. I apologize. I'm just gonna have to object
Oh
and
no, yeah, go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna pause you right there. Do we need to confirm? Here's the other issue. Here's the other issue that I don't think I need you to pick one company because it's not necessarily
Now,
can we necessarily argue because I mean from my point of view I would say that the Samsung Galaxy S19 all the way up to now, what are we at, 24, pretty much looks the same. Every year, the Samsung Galaxy Note or Pro or whatever they call it now has a
mhm.
stylus and a square edge body with 3 cameras on the back. So if we're comparing company to company, that argument falls through. And so I think that's where
Well, then that also opens the argument. Are we talking manufacturer or are we talking Android as a platform? Because I always had that same argument. Samsung
right,
is not Android because
right,
everyone's like, "Oh
right,
yeah, I got
right,
Android." No, you have
right,
Samsung.
right, right. So let's, all right, this is good. Maybe we're the perfect people to bring this debate to full circle and pretty much to a close here. So perfect. I like that you said that. I think it needs to be a debate between software because as far as
Okay.
I'm concerned, you can go and get this iPhone 12 Pro Max
Hmm.
because I'm a degenerate and don't upgrade every year because I'm poor and I'm 30 and have a kid to think about. So I'm a few years behind. It's fine. You can pretty much get this same unibody, 3-camera layout, metal, metallic, looks just like it from the Nothing Phone 2. You can go get a Nothing phone right now that looks just like this. So if we're talking about hardware, that whole thing, yes, you could then of course argue that like, well, you could get a Samsung that looks like this, or you could get a OnePlus that looks like this, or you could get one that folds like this, or you could get one that folds like this from Motorola. I think when it comes to hardware and design, that whole argument, and unfortunately, I think is where we're going to have to nip it in the butt right now, because maybe not next year, maybe the year after that, once Apple inevitably adopts the folding aspect, then it doesn't really, the argument falls through, right? Because if we look at the launch of the iPhone 5, we had the iPhone 5, we had the iPhone 5 SE, which was like a colorful array of plastic devices. We had the iPhone 5S that was metal and aluminum on the back, so like that was a whole range of different looking. The iPhone XR, it was different than the main phones that year. So when it comes to releasing different model types and different, different looking devices every year, they do that. Now, every year, do those same model names and upgrades kind of look the same? Sure, but so do Samsung's. The Nothing 1 phone looks just like the Nothing 2. And the Motorola Razr that came out 4 years ago looks pretty much like the one that came out this year, but their hinge and their folding mechanism is a little bit better. So I think, with that being said, it needs to be a software-only debate, yes or yes?
For the first point, yes, but the hardware still kind of leans into my second point. It's kind of. Not to the extent of the phone itself,
Okay.
but as far as things that are on the phone. I think you know where I might be getting at
Okay, go
in
ahead.
a second here.
Go. Yeah, go.
So, well, I guess we can come back to the first one. So
Yeah.
number 2, stifling innovation. All right. Now this is, I solely say this is an Apple thing. 2 words. Well, 1 word and however you write it. USB-C. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You giggled as soon as I said it. USB-C. Now, how long we had to get government intervention?
Correct.
To say, look,
Correct.
Quit the shit.
Right.
Throw USB-C on it. Stop it.
Okay.
Now we're getting USB-C, but at that, a gimped USB-C, not true 100% USB-C across the board.
Okay. So, you ready for your rebuttal on that one? And you just made you just made 2 points, and I've got rebuttals for both of them. One, I know for a fact, maybe not today, maybe not 2023, but through the span of the lifespan of the lightning connector. I still got it. You know what I mean? Through the span of the lightning connector and its lifespan. And even though companies like OnePlus, Samsung, whoever else, the big boys, Google, right? Yes, they did have USB-C. But during that time, I'm 101,000% positive you could still go to Amazon or any other prominent cell phone company and go to the top selling phones of those years, 2020, 2019, 2018. And most of the Android phones had micro USB chargers in them. And so we can't give USB-C as a charger fully to the Android ecosystem when they didn't fully adopt it either. And 2, when it comes for the second argument of your whole thing, the whole cheap whatever version of USB-C, yeah, when you get the regular iPhone 15, it comes with a USB-C cable that has the equivalent specs of a lightning port and a lightning cable. 100% guarantee. I'm not denying that. You need an iPhone 15 Pro to get the faster one. But let's not pretend either like that's not just the whole thing of USB-C that's swept under the rug. Because when you go to Amazon and you just search for USB-C cable, whatever comes up, comes up. And the general public doesn't have the knowledge to know all that USB-C sometimes only charges, sometimes only transfers data, sometimes does both slowly, sometimes does one or the other, sometimes does one or the other slowly, sometimes does both fastly, sometimes does both quicker than that. And sometimes it depends on what brick you plug it into. Sometimes it depends on what computer you plug it into. So the whole USB-C market and the whole USB-C standard isn't that. There is no standard for USB-C because you have now Apple shipping one cable with speeds. You have Apple shipping another cable with data transfer speeds. You've got Samsung doing one USB-C protocol. You've got Google doing one USB-C protocol. So like, let's not get it twisted.
Well, hold on.
Like,
here.
can you get the same results from Apple's USB-C cable in this box, the Pro box, the Google box, the Samsung box, and whatever other Anker's USB-C cable, the third-party one you get at the gas station and the third-party one you get from Five Below? They're all different.
If you're talking now, and this goes into a whole nother debate here. So if you're talking the charging speed, if you're talking the power delivery standard, because that is standard. If you're talking the power delivery standard, then yes, it does not matter what device you have because USB-C as a standard has power delivery. So as long as you're meeting that power delivery wattage amount, you will get the specified rating for that amount.
Okay. So then is the difference then data transfer speeds or the ability to transfer data?
Speeds and kind of what you were talking about with different standards, because like Samsung has supercharger and OnePlus has warp charging. Those are the specific standards for their devices. But as a general standard, power delivery is across the board. As long as you get a power delivery 15-watt charger, you're going to get fast charging no matter what you plug it in, as long as they are fulfilling the power delivery standard.
Right. And so I guess my argument for that is how can we blame Apple for having Lightning connectors all these years when the Lightning connector has and is equivalent to the same standards as some USB-C cables now coming in the box of Apple phones. And I'm sure other Android phone manufacturers use that same whatever gig transfer, whatever charging wattage that Apple is using in the regular phones now. So why are we blaming Apple for giving us a Lightning cable and now a USB-C cable when you're not getting the same cable from Google as you are from Samsung?
It was more of a standardized thing. So even if you're talking the charging speeds or the data transfer speeds or anything like that, it was just simply the fact of you have a USB-C cable, it will work. Not I need a USB-C cable and this cable. Now I will admit the whole micro USB that was long running on Android, but did manufacturers need government intervention to say, oh, here's the new standard, we need to switch to that? Only Apple was still, no, we're not doing anything. Well, you better, you're going to have to pay. All right, I guess we'll do it, but we're not going to give you true everything. It's just, if you buy this, we'll give you that. But if you buy this, we're going to give you this. But hey, we're meeting a standard. To me, typical Apple. But that you can't. But that even that in and of itself is the same thing that Samsung does. If you're saying typical Apple because look at them stealing the consumer's money because they think they're getting one thing instead of the other, well then that's the consumer not doing their research. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Apple having the lower end USB-C cable in this model's box with the lower end camera and the lower end processor attached to it, the same way that the Samsung Galaxy S23 is the S22 Pro's chips, camera set, whatever, last year's stuff internals, the same way that Samsung gives you
the upgraded specs, camera, cable, when you get the Plus Pro Note model. So
Well,
what do you mean typical Apple? Like Samsung does the same thing. They have a base consumer model and they have a Pro model. And between the two, there's different specs, there's different RAM, there's different processors, there's different cables, there's different camera lenses. Samsung does it, Google does the same thing. Google has a 6A, an 8A, an 8 Pro, an 8 Plus, and in the box comes different chargers, different cables, different camera lenses. Oh, typical Google, typical Samsung, typical Android company.
Well, if we're talking device lines, no argument there.
Right.
But just to say, oh, we can do it.
Right.
We can give you the same standard across the board because it's literally just adding one extra wire.
Mm-hmm.
We can give you the same standard across the board,
right.
just to simply say we're going to limit the type of USB transfer speeds or charging speeds. We're going to limit that simply because you didn't spend an extra $1,000. Makes no sense. Because what you're purposely limiting it. It's not that it's not able to do it. You're purposely doing
now,
it.
But do you think that potentially, now this is just an assumption, so you can hit the hammer and do an objection here in our court. Do you think that's probably maybe because the regular standard iPhone 15 model that cable comes with doesn't need those speeds? And so overall, if you're only filming video on that phone or taking photos with it or charging it with the brick that it came with or whatever it is, do you think that maybe Apple did that because if they gave them a more powerful cable, A, the phone wouldn't take advantage of it, and B, maybe the battery life wouldn't last so long. They blow their battery load in like 2 years instead of 4. Like maybe that's why. And the fact that we get an upgraded cable in the Pro Max model phones is because just that. You can't film 4K ProRes video on the new phones without having an external SD card attached to it, right? Because it needs that much data transfer. It needs those protocols to record that type of footage and those types of photos. So that's what you have to do. You have to have that kind of cable with that kind of memory card or that kind of hard drive. But the iPhone 15 doesn't have those capabilities. So they just need a standard, basic, run-of-the-mill USB-C cable, just like I would get if I go to Walmart right now on sale for $99. The Google Pixel 6a is on sale. And you're telling me that cable in that box is no different than the one that I would get if I went and bought the Google Pixel 8 Pro Max right now?
No, because the only thing that would be different is I haven't kept up on Google per se, but the only thing that should be different is the actual wattage itself,
right?
Not the data transfer speed.
Okay.
So it's a very tough. It's a tough thing because you start getting into the very detailed nitty gritties. It's like you said, half the things that people are like, I don't care about that.
Right.
I want to just plug I want to plug my phone in the computer. Does my picture go over? Right. All right, that's all I care about.
Right.